George Russell is enjoying the best phase of his Formula One career despite the car issues at Mercedes this season. The talented driver currently ranks 4th in the Drivers' Championship and is 34 points ahead of his teammate Lewis Hamilton. And it's not even a one-off situation. So far, the 24-year-old has constantly bested Hamilton, and many believe he might well finish higher than his more experienced colleague when the final points are counted at the end of the season. In today's video, we'll reveal the real reason why George Russell will outperform Lewis Hamilton. Mercedes have been far from their best this term. The team is performing way below standard. Many have blamed it on the new porpoising rule, but there seems to be more to the situation than meets the eye. One of the highlights of Mercedes' poor season was the conversation between team boss Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton at the Imola Grand Prix. "Lewis, hi," Toto said over the radio. "Sorry for what you have needed to drive today. I know this is undrivable and not what we deserve to score as a result. So we moved from there, but this was a terrible race." In response, Hamilton said, "Yeah, no worries, Toto. Let's keep working hard." The Mercedes team principal claims his statement was born out of the fact that the car is undermining the quality and potential of his drivers. "You see the bouncing on the main straight. I wonder how the two of them can even keep the car on the track at times." He added, "Lewis deserves better from us, but we are a team, so we all need to do the utmost in order to provide him with a machine that is able to fight for front positions." Agreed, the Mercedes car has been woeful this season, but Toto Wolff's claim that it's undrivable isn't exactly true. We've seen George Russell drive the same car, and the results are much more impressive. Russell is the only driver to finish in the top 5 in all the races that have been held so far this season. He has made the podium 3 times as well. And on top of that, the 24-year-old has finished ahead of Hamilton in 7 races. Interestingly, these amazing records were achieved in the same car that doesn't seem to be delivering the goods for Lewis Hamilton. It's even more impressive if you consider that Russell has only just made the step up from Williams. One can only imagine what he would achieve if the W13 was performing at optimum level. "In terms of result, we're getting the most out of it," Russell said. "It gives me and the team confidence that when the car improves, we'll get more points on the board, but we can't sustain this level of results if we don't improve the pace of the car." This leaves us wondering if Russell is able to deliver this sort of performance with a bad car. Why can't Lewis Hamilton do the same? After all, Lewis is supposed to be the better driver. He's won 7 world titles compared to George Russell, who has won none. Also, Lewis Hamilton has more experience driving the W13, and you cannot possibly blame the porpoising rule because it applies to every driver on the grid. Even though some might argue that the impact of the bouncing can be worse or less depending on the body of each driver. So maybe we're being unfair to Lewis Hamilton. No doubt he is a legend of the sport, having begun his racing career in 2007 and going on to win 7 titles. But at 37, his younger days are behind him, and we probably shouldn't expect him to match the physicality of the younger drivers on the grid. In fact, even younger drivers, including Russell, have complained about their struggles dealing with the bouncing effect of the car. "I've truly been struggling with my back and almost like chest pains from the severity of the bouncing," Russell complained recently. Now imagine what Lewis Hamilton has to endure. After the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Hamilton said, "Adrenaline was the only thing that kept him in the race to the end. Biting down on my teeth through pain and just adrenaline," the 7-time world champion lamented. "I can't express the pain that you experience, particularly on the straight here. At the end, you're just praying for it to end." But whilst this sounds like a good excuse, it shouldn't really affect a driver of Hamilton's caliber this much. So, could it be that Russell is a better driver than Hamilton? We cannot jump to that conclusion. George Russell will need several years to accomplish everything that Lewis Hamilton has won in the sport. During Russell's time with Williams, he mastered the act of grinding out good results with a relatively poor car, and that experience seems to be the real reason he's outperforming Lewis Hamilton. "It's just been difficult, really difficult position for us and the team," the 24-year-old British driver said. "Perhaps with my struggles at Williams driving very difficult cars, maybe that's helped in some small regard. Also, some analysis believe that George Russell has had more luck than his rival this season. It might be hard to admit, and it certainly shouldn't be a standard for comparing drivers, but Russell seems to have had better fortune so far. I think Lewis has been a little unlucky, and I think he's been delving around and has been happy to play the guy who tries the experimental setup for Mercedes a bit because he's got more experience with them, former world champion Damon Hill said. So perhaps he's gone the wrong way sometimes, and that has made him look worse off than he really is against George. But George is definitely doing a sterling job, and I think that's a very firm foundation for him going forward, Damon Hill added. Meanwhile, team boss Toto Wolff doesn't seem like he wants to be drawn into the argument of who is outperforming who. He'd rather put the blame on the car. I think both drivers are doing the utmost and outperforming the car at the moment, and we've seen that reaping the results from George, who did an outstanding race, perfect start, then handled a car that wasn't tuned optimally, the 50-year-old said after the Imola Grand Prix. Well, George Russell will be hoping that his run of luck never ends. But that's not to say he doesn't deserve his position on the standings or the accolades he's getting. He looks like a young man that is destined for greatness. He's obviously got the quality, and he has a good head to go with it as well. If he's able to maintain this momentum, he will not only outperform Hamilton this season, but in other seasons to come. Interestingly, despite his impressive performance this season, George Russell has shown great respect to Lewis Hamilton, and that has helped to maintain the peace within the team. In fact, George Russell defended Hamilton after the 7-time world champion finished 13th in Imola. Lewis has clearly got the pace, Russell told Sky Sports F1. He's incredibly fast, and he showed that so far this year, but it's just been tricky for us as a team to get it done when the time is needed. He added, "I know there was a bit of blip last weekend, but I have no doubt he's going to come back, and the way he's pushing the team and motivating the team is truly inspiring." However, the 24-year-old also admits that he can't rest on his laurels given Hamilton's quality and pedigree. "I'm not getting comfortable in this position because I know what he's capable of." Team principal Toto Wolff would certainly be impressed with George Russell's performance so far, and he couldn't be happier with the relationship between his two drivers. But there might be some big decisions to be made at the end of the season if Russell keeps outperforming Hamilton. Will George Russell finish above Lewis Hamilton this season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. That's it for today. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.